we will jump in. So this is part 2 of the video boot camp. So Danielle, you did a video. Did anybody else do a video? Jan, were you brave enough?
No, not yet.
Okay. Deb, no.
It seems like there's just so many things going on. I've tried to just get my bearings here on everything, but yes, not quite yet. But I've got all the notes, so hopefully that will come soon.
There you go.
Still
Awesome.
a fire hose, right, Jan?
It is. Yeah. And real estate school doesn't teach you anything about like how to actually sell real estate. Right. So
I know my husband said, okay, he said, forget all that. Now your real learning begins.
Exactly. I mean, you need to know about fair housing and some environmental stuff,
Right.
but beyond that, like all the rest of it's just, bureaucratic stuff to make those schools look good. So, but keep coming to these classes and it'll all make sense and all come together. So, all right, so let's jump in. Let me do a share screen here with my PowerPoint. So as I mentioned last week, what we're going to be talking about today is the applications, right? Let me move you guys here. I like seeing your faces while I'm talking, but it covers up my slides. So section 4 and 5, and then we'll do kind of a recap at the end. So today we want to talk about the practical applications. So best tips and best practices and tips from pros. And then, we're going to talk about when to post, and then some really strong call to actions, which everything that's on my screen will be in the materials that you guys have. I have to go minimize you guys. Okay, so getting tactical. I love that word, right? Tactical. And so we want to be clear and concise and intriguing. So we want to share just enough information that you spark curiosity, right? We want the audience to be engaged. And so if you think about your own behavior when you watch video, think about your own behavior and what you do with that, right? It has to catch your attention. And I shared with you that the Gen Zs have an 8-second attention span. So it's a very quick moment where you have to grab their attention and get them to continue watching your video, right? And so thinking about that, what's your call to action? And think about your own behavior, right? What is it? What are those videos for you that do get your engagement, right? And how do I apply that to real estate? So we want to encourage the audience to have a conversation with you elsewhere, right? So it's great to get the engagement, but we want them to continue it, whether it's picking up the phone, sending a text, or an email, right? So we want to adjust the video length. So we want to have, so this is really great content right here. So personal messages, 60 to 90 seconds. And I'm not sure, I have an Android, so I think this applies to both Android and Apple. So 60 to 90 seconds. I think in video or on a text, it really needs to be very short in order for that to go through. Facebook is 2 minutes. Twitter is 30 seconds. Instagram is 60 seconds. And YouTube, this is actually a little bit inaccurate based on current stuff with YouTube. YouTube videos, yeah, you can go 2 to 5, but you can also go up to about 15 minutes, 10 to 15 minutes. If you follow some of the people who are really crushing it on YouTube, Katie Day is one of my former coaching clients. She's killing it on YouTube. You could go look her up. She's got the Move Me to Texas team. She's actually doing a symposium at the end of April, bringing in some of these top guns that are doing stuff on YouTube. So there's some very specific strategy around that. The thing about YouTube is it's more content driven for, buyers coming into the area. So one of my coaching clients in Denver did a video on which side of the street to buy a house on if you live in Denver. And we don't shovel sunshine. So it would never occurred to me to think that if you buy a house on a certain side of the street, you will have snow in your yard all winter long. Wow. And so that's a really great video to educate people moving into the area that, hey, so it got me thinking, could we do something similar in Phoenix? Well, we have western facing backyards, right? And so the house I bought has a western facing backyard. I'm like, how did I do this? Like, I didn't even pay attention because I'm up here and it's not the same. My bearings are not the same up here. So thinking about that, right? If I'm moving to Phoenix, I really don't want a western facing backyard, right? Because it's hot. So could we create a video around that? And the length of the YouTube stuff, you can go longer because it has different engagement. And so there are people that they're looking at YouTube specifically for how-tos. When we were moving, we had to take the doors off the refrigerator. So what did we do? We jumped on YouTube to find a how-to video, right? And so there's a lot of content. I look at my nephews and even my stepson, they spend an enormous amount of time watching YouTube videos. And so YouTube, that content is a little outdated, I think. I mean, 2 to 5 is fine for some stuff, but if you really want to get that engagement with more content that is educating people, you can go up to about 15 minutes, okay? So open your video with a hook, right? Say something of value or extremely importance within that first 10 seconds. It captures the attention of the viewer. Best days. So this is another great screen here is best days. Facebook anytime at 11 a.m. Instagram Monday, Tuesday, and Friday at 11 a.m. and Tuesday at 2 p.m. Twitter Friday between 7 and 9. LinkedIn is Wednesdays at 3 p.m. Thursdays between 9 and 10, and Fridays between 11 and 12. This is great to start with. However, you do want to make sure you're checking your own engagements, right? As you start building up your stuff, your pages will have peak times. It's kind of fun on our company Facebook page. When I go to do a post, it will tell me now, it pops up and says, would you like to use these times? Because these are the optimal times your Facebook page is getting the most traffic. And so when you have really good content that you want to get the biggest engagement, once you have to do it for a bit, right? Before Facebook will start feeding you that information. But eventually your Facebook page will spoon that up to you and say, hey, Danielle, this is the best time to get the peak view on your Facebook page. But for now, start with this, right? Start with this and get your base going. And again, this is in your guys' materials. And then the hint at the bottom, the average attention span is about 60 seconds besides the YouTube educational content. Okay. So we want to make sure we utilize that time. And again, pay attention to yourself. What do you do? Like there's sometimes I get sucked into videos and it's super annoying because they just continue to go on and on and on and on. It's like, what are we doing here? Stop it. And I click off, right? I don't wait because it gets annoying. And so really, think about your consumers and what's the punch that you want to get through to them within those 60 seconds. All right, I'm gonna go ahead and minimize you guys again. Okay, so supplementing your video message. So you wanna have some readable content as well. So anticipate objections, right? You're gonna have trollers, right? So anticipate that and then help your audience overcome the roadblocks by having easy to understand and follow directions. So an example, so where to locate something, right? Do we go to your website? Do we put it in the chat? Do we want them to text you or call you? And so making sure that you have something that is easy for them to follow. We want to convert your audience into advocates for your brand, right? We want raving fans. And so we want to make sure that we review your script and practice your flow. The best way to overcome nerves is to prepare and practice, practice, practice. So have a conversation with your viewers through the lens of your camera. I can't see you guys right now, so I'm having a conversation with my computer screen. And so, making sure you get comfortable with that, right? So it might even help you to put a picture behind your webcam or behind your lens. That way, maybe it's your grandma and you're looking at your grandma having a conversation or someone important in your life. So it makes you feel a little bit more comfortable. Review the concepts or ideas that you want to portray and practice the structure, and then adapt your message to your different audiences as necessary. So again, we're not going to talk to a Gen Z the same that we would to a baby boomer. Don't overthink how you look. Let me look at your guys' faces while I say that. Don't overlook how you look, right? We all show up. And I told you the story last week about not looking at your baseboards, right? And so your audience doesn't care about that. They care about you showing up and having content and connecting with them, okay? I remember hearing a Boomtown or a Bomb Guy speak many years ago, and he said, he's like, it doesn't matter, right? It doesn't matter. You just need to show up. So like I said, I don't like the way I sound when I listen to myself. So that's my big judgment against myself. And so, just thinking, show up, right? Just do it anyways. And don't watch it, right? Just if it's the good take, go for it, right? And don't pick it apart. So start with a smile, right? Disarm your audience, humanize yourself, and inject personality by sharing genuine, caring disposition. It always bugs me when I see these people on Facebook Live. And I know there's a lag time between the time you do your Facebook Live and your audience is connecting with you, but it's super irritating to me to watch people like fixing their hair, checking their teeth, just making these weird faces while they're on live. Like do they not realize that they're on live? So just be kind of mindful of that, of how you're coming across. Practice your self-awareness. Body language, right? Make sure that you appear to be open and ready to engage with your audience. Have good lighting. I have a little light behind me, and then I did buy a webcam, in the quality between what was on my webcam versus my computer's significantly different. And I bought a Logi, L-O-G-I. It was like $80. I think I got it on Amazon, I think is where I got it, about $80. So then that was recommended to me by someone who does a lot of video. And just making sure you have good lighting. If you could face a window or have plenty of light in to eliminate shadows and illuminate your face. Background. So choose your space that's comfortable and positive, that represents you. There's a lot that you could Google it, having the virtual background with the bookshelves, that's a popular one. So just make sure that your background isn't distracting to people, and then it's, not distracting, but also professional and appropriate. You want to eliminate distractions for you and your viewers, right? So if you avoid avoid having jewelry that's clanky, things that are going to, come across and not sound right. Okay. So we want to make sure that the content is the only thing getting the attention of the viewer.
And also not to have cat filters on while we're doing a video, right? One council member had a cat filter on the whole time and they couldn't get it off. So they had this meeting with this guy with the cat filter on his face.
Oh, that's funny. Yeah, I did an interview. It's out on the internet, actually. On Workman was doing this thing called Faces of Real Estate. And so I got interviewed by that. And I got through the whole entire video, the entire interview. And Daisy May, if I put her in the other room, I knew she was going to just bark the whole time and you would be able to hear it. So I took my chances to have her in the office with me. And I got all the way to the end of the interview. And for whatever reason, she let out a bark. And Verl was amazing. He just rolled with it because I was talking about charities and picking a charity. And he said, and how about dogs? Like you can pick a dog charity. So he rolled with it and it worked great. But stuff like that happens, right? And so you got to be careful that, can you roll with it if it happens, right? Not to talk about the Oscars, but Chris Rock kind of rolled with that the other night. It was clearly disturbed by what happened, but that's a professional, right? To be able to roll with the punches. And so, we all have kids, we all have animals, what were you going to say, Danielle?
Literally got to roll with the punches.
Right. It's cracking me up how much other stuff is coming from that. And it's just so silly, the press and everything that's happening with it. But anyway, so just be careful with that. Avoid things that are going to be distracting. And also, talk to your spouses. There's been a lot of stuff that happened on when we had to pivot with Zoom and spouses walking in the background naked and things happening. So make sure you're checking your environment so things like that won't happen. So observe your favorite speakers. So, we talked a little bit about that with you checking how you engage with video, but who are some people that you like that you will watch every time they drop something, and then take notes, right? Whether that, and it doesn't have to be someone in real estate. It could be a comedian, could be somebody that is doing interviewing, an actor, someone that did a TED Talk. And then what are the qualities that you like about their videos? And then what would you do differently? There's some people that they bug the crap out of me. And so I'm very judgy about that. So what would you do different? And so anybody have a favorite speaker that comes to mind? Nobody? All right. One of mine is Jared James, but in his videos, I can't tell, his background is distracting to me. And there's people that walk around behind him in his office. And so, the content is great, but I'm always like, oh, I wonder who that person is walking around in the back. Right. And so, but I love his content, right? And I love the way he speaks and, the way his videos come across. And so just thinking about who is that? So who is it? And then who's your least, right? And then why? And so we've all taken a class where we couldn't stand the instructor. Right. And we've all had those moments where it's just like, oh, I really don't like this, what this person's saying to me. And so think about that and think about how that applies to you and what you can do differently when you're creating your own content. All right, let me go ahead and minimize you guys again here. All right, so creating a pre-recording ritual. So, we talked about this throughout Momentum, is just having your head in the right spot, right? So we want to have you be, to have inspiration, have confidence, and then be passionate about what you're doing. So what brings you happiness? And then talk about that for 30 seconds before you record. So what's your joy and your excitement will transfer into the content that you're delivering. And so even think about your why. Is it your children? Is it your grandchildren? Is it whatever, right? What's the why that you're doing this? And think about that person and then get excited about it. Because once we're excited in that space, what is that? The Augmentino says that who can say no to my goods when he hears the love in my voice? And so, or the love in my heart. So recite the purpose or the goal of your video and who you're speaking to. So who's your audience? And then remind yourself that you're the subject matter expert, right? You have value to share. And then share your video, right? Get in there and do it. So, you guys are all pretty not new to this, so we're going to skip the group discussion there. So if we had some other people on here that have been doing video, we will do those questions. So connect with the call to action, the CTA. We talk about this a lot in all marketing, is what's your call to action? So the call to action is, what do I want them to do as a result of having read this or watched your video, right? So we want to encourage them to continue the engagement. And this is a pathway that you can now gather valuable information about that person. And that's the thing about social media, you guys, and I've said this before, is that The intel that we can learn about people within seconds, within minutes, is so lightning fast compared to how long it would take us in the past. If you think about, I can go on Facebook or Instagram or wherever and look at my mutual friends. And, one of my friends that I have here in Prescott, I am friends with a lender in Phoenix, and I saw we were mutuals. How do you know them? Oh, it's my cousin. Wow. Okay. And so, we can learn so much information from not just our mutual friends, but the things that they like, the things that they watch, their dog's name, their cat's name, their kids' information. Like, there's so much stuff that we can gain within seconds. And so, Facebook is really a social media in general has really changed the way that we can engage with people and gather information that we didn't ever had before. And now if you're using First IO from Remax, that's a whole other game changer too, because it's scrubbing all those data points that, we would not physically have the bandwidth to do. So avoid sounding salesy, right? We don't want to come across as that sing-songy or pushy or aggressive. So we want to focus on selling the benefits of taking action and the impact that the action has on the viewer's life or their current situation. So again, you are of value. How am I going to change this person's life? So you want to be genuine, right? And remember your purpose and who you're trying to serve. So in your materials, you're going to have some sample call to actions. And so I'm not going to read all these to you, but there are several ways that you can engage with them on here. And so, tag me, click the link below, and then some other actions, action verbs plus phrases. So download, stop, start, stop, see in action, all these here that are, like I said, your verb plus your phrase call to actions. So, and again, I don't know what page that is in your materials, but if you're following along with the slides, you should be able to find it in there. And so you don't have to reinvent the wheel, right? Or try to think of something smart to say. We've given you some great examples here. So continuing on with the call to action, the most important thing after you have the engagement is, what do you do with the information? Right? You get the information. Now, what do you do with it? You put it into your CRM, right? We want to have some notes so that we can, when we follow up, we know what we're talking about, because not about you, but my memory is getting a little foggy these days. And so make sure you save all that stuff into your database and then follow up, right? Follow up with it. If you've promised them something, you better follow through. So you want to save all that stuff and then be intentional with the engagement. So now if we have a birthday, a congratulations, or any of those things that are happening in that person's life, and then continue the conversation to build the rapport with your audience and make a lasting impression, and always trying to reinforce your brand. So sample content topics. And again, trying to be smart, right? And what do I say? So a great place is just, who am I? What do I do? What do I do, right? Introduce yourself, right? Establish your brand and start building the foundation. And again, I'm not going to read all these to you. It's in your materials, but there's several examples here of things that you guys could talk about. And then I had listened to, at CRS, I listened to a lady that did a class called Civic Marketing, meaning like your civic duty. And one of the things that she talked about was having a weekly show. And she mentioned doing What's Good In, and that was the title of her show, What's Good In. And she's in kind of a small market, but she would go and interview restaurants, different places, not just restaurants, but businesses. And so she would, the businesses are starved for content as well. And then now she's got something she can build on for her audience. And so you could do something like that as well, here in Phoenix. And especially if you work just in a certain area, again, those businesses are starved for the information too. So thinking about what are things in the area, starting to get hot. So could you talk about snake safety, if you're being out on the trails, fun facts about Arizona, like, how long does it take to grow an arm on a saguaro cactus? And so you could have some fun with those different things that are hyper local. And I like the last one here is what you wish you had known before. And so we can all think about our own home buying or home selling, or, Danielle, you were talking about painting your house and, things like that we could talk about that are tactical things that, are good stuff that educate people. And those things are evergreen too, right? Meaning that they last a long time. They have great shelf life. So video tools and resources. So you and your phone, right? We don't have to get all crazy and, go out and buy all this equipment. I bought, I mentioned my webcam, but to me, it's just way better quality on a video. So, but you have your phone, and, they say that the new Apple phone has like the best camera quality out there. So you don't need anything crazy. You don't need to go out and make that a stumbling block that, well, I'm getting ready to do this, right? You have the resource right there in your hand. So you have so your brand, right? Your skill set, your confidence, and your tactics, and then any smartphone with camera and recording capabilities. So basic video messaging resources. So Photofy, if you guys don't have Photofy, which is a Remax exclusive tool, I would highly encourage you. It's $56 for the year, so $4 a month. There is all kinds of fantastic, easy to use content in there. So there's basic templates that you can grab. There's video templates that you can use. They've even got like quick little like, I don't know, they're video, but they're really short that you can send out for information. You can also create longer ones if you want to, but it is definitely a really cool tool that we have, and it's super cheap and it's right there on your phone. So if you're wondering, how do I create content? Go get Photofy. BombBomb. So Alex was telling me that BombBomb now integrates with Boosh. So this is not necessarily an endorsement to go buy BombBomb, but it is a really affordable way to do video. And once you set it up, it is a CRM as well. So if you put all your birthdays and anniversaries and home anniversaries, all that stuff in there, you could do some video. So you could create a birthday video. It lives in BombBomb, and everybody's birthday, it automatically sends it out for you. If you're getting emails from Nate's, like the national housing report that comes out, things like that, those are all housed through BombBomb. So it's a really nice way to kind of integrate everything in there. So our What's Happening email that you guys get every Friday, that's powered through BombBomb. So I think, I want to say it's like $500 or something like that for the year. But again, not an endorsement for that. And don't go buy something that you're not going to use. And so start with your phones, right? Get comfortable there and use your video that way. And then once you get good at it and you feel comfortable, then go make the investment in something like that. So Big View is a smartphone application that it's like a teleprompter. That allows you to create, if you want to have bullet points or have a script, and it's a nice tool. I have one client that uses it and she swears by it. And then Vimeo. Vimeo is another, it's like YouTube. It's another place to store your videos, but I wouldn't go and get Vimeo until you get good and you're using YouTube. Okay. I think that's probably, YouTube to me is the best place. It's kind of the 800-pound gorilla when it comes to video, and it is owned by Google. So kind of is the 800-pound gorilla. All right, so section 5. So before I do that, any questions, comments? Any thoughts? Everybody's good? All right, I'm gonna be mindful of time here. How am I doing? 9:25. All right, let's keep going then. So section 5. So how to establish your video system. So as in any class in Momentum, we talk about tracking, right? We want to track everything. We want to record it, and then we want to make improvements and take action on that. So we want to track what action you implemented, what were the results, and then stay in flow. So by tracking their interactions with your content and your competitors' posts and content. One little trick I will tell you, if you've ever noticed that let's say for like 3 days, you keep seeing the same post pop up and you're like, why am I seeing this? Well, that's because people keep making comments on it. And so one trick to do is you do a post and someone comments, don't comment right away. Wait a little bit and then go comment. And you want to comment on every comment and react to that, because then that keeps the engagement, lets them know that you've actually read it, right? And it's not just pushing content out. That was one thing Jared James said, that he responds to everything because those are his people. And he knows that those are the people that are engaging with him. And so if you wait a little bit and then comment, it refreshes in the search, and now more people will see your post. And so, be intentional in that, and the timing of when you do the likes and when you do your comments. Okay. Evaluate regularly and honestly. So review your results and your goals, right? What is your expectation? And then consider your audience and what you need to adjust, right? Sometimes we do stuff and we think, man, this is really going to land great. And then it kind of is a wah wah, right? And so make sure you're adjusting that and, looking at what the audience is going to need. And, I like to say, just be very intuitive about it. There's times that you do a post, and if it's just the right time, like for example, when I rented my house in Surprise, I was kind of waiting because I'm like, I don't want to put it up too soon. And then something, my gut just said, do it right now. And I did, and it worked out great. And so when we pay attention to what our gut's saying and we can come from an intuitive space, those are the times that the content is going to land really well. Okay. So lean into that and trust your intuition. So then continue to improve, right? So determine any necessary training, expand your knowledge, go follow some of these people, go follow Katie, go follow, I forget what the other one is. I could look up who's speaking at her symposium and share that information with you. But there are some people out there that are really killing it on YouTube content. There's some guys from Denver. I I forget their names. I'll look it up at the end and put it in the chat. So you could follow some people out there that are doing stuff so that you can continue to educate yourself and grow your skill. So formulate a plan to adjust the course of action towards the achievement goal. So according to Harvard, individuals who have accountability partners saw a 33% increase in their productivity. So last week, Danielle shared that she'd be an accountability partner with anyone. So take her up on that, because studies show that 33% are more effective. And you want someone who can be honest with you, honest and be active and to help you create successful habits. I don't know if any of you guys are watching the Netflix show called Inventing Anna. It's really quite fascinating. This little German heiress pretended to be a German heiress and scammed all these people out of money. So she's in prison right now for other reasons. But the last episode, the husband was preparing for trial, and he was practicing in front of his wife, and she made some noise, and he goes, "What?" And she goes, "Nothing." He goes, "No." He goes, "Either validate me, critique me," and there was a third thing he said. And I loved it, because I thought, wow, that's so brilliant, right? In communicating, either validate me or critique me, and I can't remember what the third thing was, darn it. But I loved it, right? Because I was like, so many times in relationships, we don't have that, right? It's like, either give me the validation I need right now, or give me something that I can improve on. And so think about that with yourselves, and then your accountability, right? Is help me, either validate me and tell me I did a good job, or be honest with me and give me something that I can make improvements on. And that's not always easy to do, right? It's not always easy. I had a friend / coworker many years ago. I did a SWOT analysis, which is your strengths, weaknesses, opportunities, and threats. And I asked her to do it for me, and she did. And she wrote me and she said, "This was really hard because you're one of my favorite humans, and I really don't want to say anything negative, but you want me to be honest with you." And she told me that my written instructions were not great. And as a writer, that was really hard for me to get, right? But I sat back and I thought about all my years in management, and I was like, yeah, I do suck at written instruction. And so I was grateful for her to give me that feedback, because for years and years, I always thought it was the other person's problem, right? You can't understand me, Jen? Like, what's wrong with you, right? And then I realized it was actually me who had the problem. And so it was an opportunity for me to grow. So really take your accountability serious, and being honest with people. And again, I know that's not always easy to do, but we can't grow and get better if people aren't honest with us. Okay. And that honesty means that we care, right? All right. So design and implement. So let's put all this stuff together. So we have our brand, right? We know what we're going to stand for. We have our practices. We have knowledge, right? We know what our call to action is going to be. And now we just need to create the plan. So putting it all together. So we talked about our core beliefs last week, right? So we have our core beliefs around working with listings. I'm not going to read these all to you guys, but we talk about them a lot throughout Momentum. I would print them out, right? And have them in your workstation. And maybe this is part of your 30-second, warm up that you do, is to rehearse your core beliefs, right? Because we need to believe all of these core beliefs in order to be successful. And so I shared with you that years ago, my affirmations hung in the shower. So I read them every single morning. And so they were there laminated, hanging every day in the shower. And so, really thinking about what your words matter. Your brain cannot tell the difference between what is a joke and what is the truth. And so the things that you say to yourself, your self-talk becomes your reality. So your words matter. So choose them wisely. Then you have your buyer conversion core beliefs as well. And again, I love number one is that I live in a world of abundance, because, that's just such powerful words. I can't talk today. And abundance isn't just about money, right? It's abundance in all areas of life. All right. So tools. So lights, camera, action, right? So know which social media platforms you're going to be on, and don't try to do them all, right? If you want to start with Facebook, start with Facebook. You want to, Danielle, you're going to YouTube. Great. Start there. And so master the one that you want and then add in. Years ago when social media became a thing, there were coaches out there saying, you've got to be on all of them. And I sat back and said, well, that doesn't make any sense, because when you're a jack of all trades, you're a master of none. And so pick the one, but know where your audience is, right? If your people are on Facebook, great. If they're on TikTok, they're on Instagram, go be where they are. Make it easy for them to find you and connect with you. And then we want to be clear, right? With your contact information and then the proper use of the brand. And you guys lean into the RE/MAX brand. It 2 million homes we sold. So the brand sells houses. Okay. Have your story mapped out and what's your personal brand identity. Know what content will be most valuable and relevant to your ideal audience. And then have a self-assessment and determine that why I might be avoiding video. I think we all have those thoughts in our heads, right? But we just got to get out there and do it. Am I ready and to be intentional and proactive about incorporating video? Have your best practices. So practice your script and understand the flow and the impression that you want to execute. And then again, have the core beliefs, have them handy so that you review them on a regular basis. And then practice an honest reflection and self-awareness of your current skill set and how do I continue to improve on that. And, you know, I would say, like we talked about last week, just start practicing with your family and friends. Send quick little, hey, just thinking about you. I shared with you the Marco Polo app is great for doing quick little video messages, and you can create groups and, you know, things like that. It's a fun app. And then have I identified my aspirations with video? Understand that video can be a powerful means of communicating to support my brand. And then understand that video can be powerful means to your dollar productive or vital activities. You could create a video that walks a buyer through all the steps of buying a home. You could create a video that walks a seller through all the steps of what's going to happen next after they put their house on the market. You could create a video that's getting ready to put your house on the market. You know, what do you need to do to qualify? Kyle Clayton has been really good about creating awesome content that's evergreen. So go check out his YouTube channel, follow him and see what he's putting out there. Because these things can not only alleviate phone calls and things that people will call you and say, what's going to happen next? Or what do I need to do? If you have a video series, pushing it out to them. And then, you know, here's everything you need to know. Right. And then I understand that if I create a solid system for producing video, I can be successful. All right. So your system and your schedule. So again, talking about the AMS, your activities management. So we want to define our total career hours, right? Our time budget. How many hours do you want to work in the week? How many in the day, and then your vital blocks. So lead gen, lead conversion, client care, and then personal development. So this would be considered personal development, right? And then we want to record it in the vital activities. Stay engaged. So if you're going to say, I'm going to do this for an hour, studies have actually shown that adults work better in 45-minute increments. So if you stay engaged for 45 minutes and then take a break, and there is actual scientific proof that if you get up and you take a break, you walk around, get some water, you know, do a little stretching, that it will actually reboost your energy and then refresh your mind so that you can sit down and do another block. It's unrealistic to say, I'm going to sit here for 3 hours because adults are just not programmed that way. And if you're a high I personality, you're doomed before you even, you know, even get started. Right. And I find myself having that squirrel syndrome, right, where it's easy to get sidetracked with things. And so you want to try your best to stay engaged. If you're in the office, put up a little sign that says, don't bother me. I'm focused right now. Right. If you're doing video, I would definitely, you know, there's space in the office to go do it. Nate built that whole, you know, space in there. So if you want to go use that space, you can, or just, you know, have something on your door in your home office that says recording, don't interrupt me. And then we have an activities management class. I talked about that last week. That will be coming back up on the schedule at some point this year. And then we want to assess the process, right? So we want to reflect, revise, and release. If you need to play the song, let it go, play that, right? And always end on a high note. If you end on a bad note, the next time this comes up on your schedule, you're just not going to feel it. And you're going to have some resistance to that. So I want to reflect, what did I do right? What can I improve on? And then let it go, right? And then of course, repeat these steps every day. So your time block. So for your video time block, so content creation, where and when to post, when and how. So if I'm going to send it via email, text message, post, YouTube posts, et cetera, time to film. And I know it sounds really simple, but put it in your calendar. We live in a calendar world. So if it's not in your calendar, the likelihood that it's going to get done is it gets less and less, right? And we just avoid it. And if you put it in your calendar, pretty soon it starts just being that nagging voice that, okay, I need to do this. And then your follow-up. So what do I do with my comments? Putting them into my CRM, and then evaluate your results, right? And then continue creating more video, right? More video. There are some people that get on video every single day. So I don't know how I feel about that, but you know, if that's something that you want to do and you feel like I want to do a TikTok video every day, great, go do it. Okay. So consistency, so being consistent, right, leads to successful habits. So set yourself up for success by setting realistic expectations, and then give yourself easy wins to start and build upon the foundation of success over time. And so, start small, right, and build on that, and then just set yourself up for success. It's unrealistic to say, I'm a newbie and I'm going to go do a video every single day, right? I think it is, but I'm a newbie. Could I do one video this week? And that's the one thing about YouTube, is that your followers do expect consistent content. And so if you do one, make sure you do another one pretty soon, because they do expect that. And you'll lose followers if you don't, put consistent content out there. So at least once a week on YouTube, you should be putting something out. Some people say 2 times a week, but start small, right? Start with just doing one this week. Okay. All right. So create your own video time block schedule to manage your video messaging. So we have this, right? Go to your calendar. We gave you the dates and times that are the best times for posting. So you could print out and, or create a calendar for yourself right here that has all these different places you're going to send your video out, and then just put the times in there when you're going to actually do it. And then I would create this calendar and either put it in your phone, or maybe you print it out and it's in your home office and you have it there to look at. So it's a piece of paper that's like, okay, here's my reminder that I am going to, these are the dates and times, or the days of the week and the times that I'm going to put this post out there in the content. So here's an evaluation checklist. Just like any momentum class, we talk about tracking and we give you the checklist. And so I'm not going to read all of this to you, but you have it in your materials. So these are all the questions that you want to ask yourself about tracking, and then evaluating regularly and honestly, and then having continuous improvement. So this would be something you could even do with your accountability partner, right? Is to have help each other fill this out, right? And then, this to me is a little bit of a game changer, because what gets measured gets done, right? And how do we improve unless we're tracking that stuff? Another tracker here is your engagement tracking. This is pretty basic, but doesn't have to be overcomplicated. So I published on what was my follow-up date, where did I post it to, who was my target audience, what was the content, the CTA, how many likes did I get any shares, reposts, comments, direct messages, if it was something you wanted them to click on and open, the views, potential listing, potential buyers, and then what was my engagement increase, right? Or did it decrease? And you guys can go on your Facebook pages, and I'm not on Instagram, so I don't know how Instagram works with this, but I'm pretty sure it probably is like anything. You can go in and see what your engagement is. There's a place on there that you can do that. And then lastly, the little checklist of what did you do with those people when they came in. Lastly, the goal of training is always action, right? We don't want you just to come and listen to me talk, right? That's part of it, but I want you to take action. So I loved that Monica, went out last week and did that video. Too bad she's not here for part 2, but, and I messaged her, I sent her a text and said, good job. I love that you did that. And she is like, oh, she was very inspired by it. So we definitely want to take action. So when you're in motion, you're planning and strategizing and learning. Those are all good things, but they don't produce results. Action, on the other hand, is the type of behavior that will deliver an outcome. You don't want to merely be planning, you want to be practicing. And so take action, right? And that is all I have for you guys today. Let me go ahead and stop the share. And wow, we got through that fast. Any comments, questions, thoughts? Who's going to go do a video today?
I don't know about today, but I'll give it a whirl. But I'm wondering about the space that Nate built. What is that?
The what?
You mentioned space that Nate built, like at the office or something.
Yep. At Arrowhead North, there's an office that has the lights and sound stuff, all of that. So you would just need to have somebody show you how to work it, and yeah.
It's by the printers, Jan.
Yeah, it's by the printers.
Okay.
It's almost probably directly opposite behind your office where
Okay.
where Vern is.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah, I haven't been in. I mean, I've been in there. I've looked, but I've not made a video in there. So.
Yeah, it's it's just just the equipment's in there, but you don't even need to do that. Just grab your phone and do content. There's another gal that she used to be a Remax agent. Oh, I told you guys I was going to look up those guys from Denver. Let me do that real quick. There's another gal that's Janie Peters. She has, and I'll look her up too and put her in Facebook. She rocks. So she actually is creating the coaching. I think I wouldn't say she's only coaching women, but it's kind of her target audience is women. And so you can reach out to her if that's something you want to get coaching around. Homes in Denver. Oh, what are these guys' names? Denver. There it is. Now, I don't personally like kind of the goofy look these guys have, but they're killing it with the YouTube stuff. And the thing that they say is your thumbnails. So if you guys click on those links, you can get those, go to those sites. So they say what one of the key things with the YouTube is your thumbnail on your video. So that's kind of part of the hook that gets people's attention, is having something that, you know, they look at the thumbnail and they're like, oh yeah, that's something I want to watch. Right. And so these guys actually started a mastermind, and they do mastermind with people all over how to maximize on YouTube. So, and I'll put Katie up here too, so you can check her out.
How do they make that cool thumbnail?
You create it, and then when you do your video when you put it in YouTube, you can actually create a custom. You can change, because, you know, YouTube will default to a thumbnail for you, right? So you can actually override that and put your own thumbnail on there
And do graphics or whatever. Okay.
Yep.
Yeah, my thumbnails, I'm like trying not to make my eyes like half open, you know.
Right. So that's why, that's why with those. And then, like I said, Katie puts out some good content as well. So, and hers, she does a little bit of the funny faces, but not as much as the other guys. So, but yeah, she's definitely killing it on the YouTube stuff. I think she closed $1 million deal off of YouTube, if I remember correctly. So yeah, so those are some assets for you to check out. And Janie's just a great resource. She's a great lady anyways, but where I was going with that is last week, she committed to doing a video every day for 30 days. And so she was at the car wash and just jumped on Facebook Live and was talking about her day at the car wash. And so it was really, you know, just what her message is just do it, right? Get outside of your comfort zone and embrace it, right? And then she has other stuff that she does, but I love her. I think she's amazing. So not that, you know, it's not an endorsement for her, but she is a resource that's out there to help us with video. And she used to be a Remax agent. So she's kind of still in the family, if you will. So awesome. All right. Any questions or comments? Nothing. Thursdays is the office meeting. So they are streaming that, and also in person. And then next week, what do we got next week? We got a few things going on. So make sure you check out the calendars with what's happening in April. So
awesome.
But I will be here next Tuesday. I don't remember what's on the calendar, but I'll be here. So
thank you, Sarah.
You guys are very welcome. Debbie, you got something to say?
Yep. I was just going to say goodbye.
All right. Very good. Well, you guys have a great day. And if you need anything, please reach out. Okay.
Thank you, Sarah.
Will do.
All right. Bye.
Bye, guys.